Welcome back to the Overwatch League, everybody. Doe and Monty here ready to kick off our final match of the night, and it's going to be, I think, a very good one. Chengdu Hunters versus Seoul Dynasty. I've been looking forward to this one all day because these, in my opinion, are very fun teams to watch. Let's talk about Seoul a little bit first. So with Seoul, I feel like you could quote the great novel, and say it was the best of times, it was the worst of times.
Except it was mostly just the worst of times historically for this team.
It was some good times.
What was a good time? When they
beat Gladiators, like we're seeing right now, Monty, obviously.
All right, well, we'll see if they make a stage playoff or even the regular season playoffs at the end of this
Why do you always got to ruin my time?
I ruin everybody's times, Noah. That's what I'm here for.
Well,
ruining the time.
Thanks, I really appreciate that. Well, you know, Seoul Dynasty doing well against the Gladiators, but then, of course, falling against Dallas Fuel. And so it's one of those teams, Seoul Dynasty, one of those teams kind of not unlike Dallas Fuel, where what team are you going to get? Are you going to get the Seoul Dynasty that seems to be able to play a very coordinated, good fashion, lots of good individual plays, or are you going to get a team that just kind of gets wrecked, you know? And that's the question for today. Tell it like it is. Which Seoul Dynasty are we going to get? Now, I do think there's one very bright spot on that team, and it's Michelle. I think he's been a great diva player. I think his Sombra has looked really, really good too. And we have seen kind of flashes of brilliance from Fissure. They've done a good job following after him in certain situations. But, you know, again, like, are we going to see a team that's coordinated or a team that just doesn't seem to be prepared, you know?
I think it's going to be very hard for them to prepare against the Chengdu Hunters, which is a team that has been running a lot of strats and a lot of Hammond on maps that most other teams do not run them on. I think that gives them at least some advantage in the element of surprise. So we'll see how Seoul, we'll see how Seoul is going to adapt to that. I did think that they looked really passive in their game against the Dallas Fuel, but as we look at Amon here, right here as Wrecking Ball, so hero damage per 10 first and players knock back, which gives you a good sense of how effective he is at using that pile driver ability.
Sure enough.
As well as just using the tether ability and knocking people around on the map.
And I do want to be clear, it looks like it says Amang on the screen, but it's actually pronounced Amon.
Like Amon-Ra, my
I'm serious.
second favorite Egyptian god.
Who's your first favorite?
Horus.
Oh, I thought you were just going to say regular Ra. I don't know. Well, whatever. Let's go ahead and introduce one of our teams here. It is going to be the Seoul Dynasty.
Reppin' 82, I'm in Seoul City. Riding down the streets, got my homies.
They still got their own rap song.
That's right. I don't have my own rap song. I guess I haven't written it yet. There's Seoul Dynasty Fleta.
Feel free to make one. I'm sure I'd love to hear it.
I'm going to do it, man. Fleta leading the charge here. And this is a team that came back into Season 2 saying, hey, you know, we want to have better results than Season 1. We are the team that represents Seoul, the mecca of esports. Come on, man. You got to have a good team out of Seoul in the Overwatch League. But so far, it's been elusive for these guys.
I mean, I'm Fissure's #1 fanboy, and
I'm J-Home's #1 fanboy. What a coincidence.
What a coincidence. But even then, I still think this team needs a lot more stability than what we've seen so far. Yeah. Now, I do have hope that they will be better in a meta that's not this one, that I think can take more advantage of Fleta and Munchkin's abilities. But I think right now, in Stage 1, they might be a little bit rough. Well,
their opponents are going to be a challenge either way. Let's give it up for the Chengdu Hunters. No rap song yet, but they may not even need it. These guys have been explosive right out of the gate. It's been crazy. Jinwoo's been bringing the good DPS, and we've seen a lot of Hammond. As you can say, this team likes to run a lot of attacking, not much defending.
I mean, I love it.
Good job with it.
I love it. I love that they have a different flavor, that they are not subscribing to the triple meta. And even though, or triple-double meta, I should say. Triple meta. There we go. Got it out in the end.
You're just making me hungry. I don't know.
But coming into this, I really like in their one match, they managed to squeak out a win against the Charge. They were playing their own game and forcing people to adapt to them. And I think that's going to throw a lot of teams for a loop. I wonder how much it's going to mix up the overall metagame if the Chengdu Hunters can keep this rolling.
Yeah, they really are kind of a team that's trying to buck the trend right now of 3-3, and they've done it pretty successfully so far. They look good in their first match, of course, and we'll see if they can continue that on against the Seoul Dynasty. Fissure, of course, coming over from the LA Gladiators during the offseason, you know, left the Gladiators late last season, picked up by Seoul during the offseason, and this guy's job, Fissure's job, is to kind of just lead the charge, very literally. Just walk in, the whole team's supposed to follow him, he makes the plays, they clean up. That's kind of how it's supposed to work with Fissure. Seemed like they could do that in their first match, but match 2 is tough. Let's check out our map list brought to you by Toyota. Starting things off, on Ilios, then going to Hollywood for our hybrid map, then Horizon Lunar Colony, and finally Rialto, our 4th map, and if we need it, 5th control map later.
Yeah, I'm curious too, because I do think that if Seoul is not super confident in their 3-tank, 3-support play, which has been shaky, this is the time that they can really mix it up against the Chengdu Hunters. So we might see some very dynamic team compositions, especially with, as you added, Michelle playing some interesting heroes to start things off. Seems like that's not going to be the case for the Seoul Dynasty at the start here on Ruins in Ilios. Michelle will probably be switching off the Wrecking Ball. Chengdu, though, exactly what we expect, really. A couple of different styles of DPS heroes on a map that is usually run with 3-3 compositions.
Huh, okay, and we might, I don't think we're going to see the Winston Reinhardt from Seoul, but maybe we will. Who knows? I mean, that's one way where you can kind of try to punish the Sombra on the other side, try to find her, jump on her, put a lot more pressure on the back line while you still maintain that beefy front line with the Reinhardt.
Exactly. You're less worried about having a diva, I think, against the Chengdu Hunters overall.
Absolutely.
So why not just dive in there and try and use Michelle to disrupt the back line?
Coming in for the slam. Pretty protected, though. Has to get out right away. Chengdu just kind of biding their time. Amang just rolling through everybody doing that damage. Seoul Dynasty, meanwhile, trying to collapse on the Hunter's back line. Looking for the kills, but here comes Amang again. Can't quite pick anything up. He's kind of on his own here. And now even with those shields, might be in trouble. But no, while this happens, the rest of his team picking up the kills on the rest of Seoul. Do you think they kind of overcommitted on that? I
mean, I think what happened was Amang was like slowly pressuring the Seoul Dynasty. He was basically herding them into the rest of the Chengdu Hunters right there. Elsa managed to pull off a hack on the front line.
There's the swap.
And there is the swap. So Michelle going back to that Sombra.
Check this out.
Yeah.
A little high ground defense.
I mean,
Hunters.
Chengdu's weird. Like, what can you say?
I love it, though.
Not many people are going to put a Zarya on high ground there to play an aggressive defense, but this team will.
Also, Dynasty trying to sneak the point away with him, but Fissure lost on his own, taken out. Amang gets him with the ultimate out of all things. And Late Young walking in, he's got the grab, doesn't even need it as he roasts Fleta with a bit of help from Voltal as well. And Chengdu really having no trouble holding this one right now.
The Hunters are playing beautifully, honestly, because they are actually in a meta that is very difficult to collapse onto a 3-3. They're actually getting some really well-timed pincer attacks on the composition of the Seoul Dynasty. They're just going to drop on them now.
Elsa waiting for the EMP, just going to wait out that grab, see if they need it. They're not going to. I guess they can just kind of keep saving things. Man, they are thrashing Seoul right now.
It is not even close. I'm there getting a lot of damage done by swinging back and forth in the Graviton Surge of Late Young. And they have an EMP. I mean,
I love this team.
This is looking like maybe 100-0. Like, this defense is so weird.
I mean, Dynasty's going to try to come in for rally, but there's Elsa right there with the EMP. Right off the bat. Chengdu trying to follow up now. They've even got the Transcendence to try to keep everybody up and alive. They've taken Jaehong down early, and now the backline's Amon coming down and harassing Fleta and Jexe. Seoul still able to approach the point, and they're trying to take it right now. They've got somebody there.
Yeah, it's Michelle who's been trying to back cap, and meanwhile Chengdu sent Eviltal back all the way to the point.
You got to do something with it. Yeah, Michelle and that Sombra swapping off the Diva, trying to do it. Oh, minefield all over Seoul Dynasty now. Munchkin down, Elsa finds a kill there. And the grab used. Can Seoul get anything out of it here? No, sound barrier comes in. Late Young does go down, and maybe with that sound barrier, Seoul's found enough to sort of grind their way through a fight here, but it's already 99% for Chengdu Hunters.
Yeah, they are. Now the Hunters need to go back, but they're going to be feeling fine about this. Seoul had to invest a lot of those ultimates. They don't have any support ults for the next fight. So it's up to Michelle to have an effective EMP. And while he's been hitting a lot of targets on EMP...
More than nearly anybody.
Yeah, but he's actually not been getting very many final blows, and he usually dies immediately after the EMP occurs, which I think is part of Seoul's problem as to why they can't follow up on some of their engages.
Fair enough. Well, they do have those ultimates to try to hold the point with, but they've got a mountain to climb. 22%. Here comes Amon from on high. Bouncing Fissure attempted to bounce off the high ground. Munchkin drops early. Kyo with a kill there. Michelle does drop the EMP.
Kyo gets 4
with a 4K. Whoa! Dragging out Jaehong. Looking from the other side, he's like, why can't everybody just play Ana? And that's going to be Chengdu Hunters taking the first point. And man,
I think Chengdu's playing really well, Noah.
Like, too. They are looking really good. I love it. Well, Chengdu Hunters off to a pretty rapid assault start. We'll see if Seoul can tie it up after this break. Welcome back to Ilios. We are going to, well, let's check out a replay of that sick Kyo play at the end of this.
That's pretty nice. I mean, they're all lining up for him.
Oh, yeah. Okay. All right. It gets a little bit easier when
they're
grab. All right. Okay. Okay, Kyo. Yeah. Yep. You're going to be like, F9, man. I'm going to record this play of the game. And it's like, all right. All right. You know, he did what Zenyatta should do.
I guess
Congratulations.
On the wrecking ball.
Yep.
The Amin, he's coming in, gets stunned immediately by that Brigitte, however.
I mean, yeah, Munchin's going to need to really watch out for that. Amin's just going to keep coming in there. They're going to charge forward right now on board with Kyo as he stays in the back lines. Trying to stay alive. Seoul Dynasty, though, pressured into that side room, and that's going to give the Hunters a chance to build a little bit of percentage on that point. First, Kyo does get the kill into Jaehong, claims another one. That was legit. And Late Young manages to find a kill on Defleta, back on board with Kyo again, gets stunned, gonna get taken out as well. It's tough to go toe-to-toe with the Brigitte, but luckily for Kyo, the rest of his team cleaning things up. That's gonna be Hunters getting some early percent going.
I mean, I think the Hunters are doing a beautiful job of controlling space. You'll see that they slowly sort of push the Seoul Dynasty into these little rooms, and that's when they're striking with big pile drivers, Hammond ultimates. This team is so good at playing around the Wrecking Ball's ability and setting up Amin to make these big plays.
All right, rally from Jinmu is there. Pushing forward again. Fissure kind of forced away from his team. Has to use the leaf to get back there. It's going to leave him vulnerable. Late Young, oh, his grab got eaten by Michelle. Nice play from that Diva there, but Amin all over everyone with that minefield, keeping Seoul from really pushing onto the point. Jexy did get a nice boop onto Late Young, though. So Seoul with an opportunity here, possibly. Fissure in the Primal Rage, but still a little bit low health, trying to find an angle to get people into the well themselves. Jaehong finally gets the kill into Ameng, and it looks like maybe Seoul Dynasty might be able to swap this one over to their favor here.
They might eventually, but 60% already taken by the Hunters. And I think the only thing that saved Seoul there, Doa, was the fact that they actually managed to eat Late Young's Graviton.
Totally
because the follow-up of that minefield was coming right on top of that Graviton afterwards in that choke point. Because the positioning from Chengdu was there. It's just the Graviton was used at the wrong time. Seoul still manages to push through and start gaining some percent.
It's kind of the theme of Overwatch right now, or pretty much all the time, you know. Do you like your ultimate? It's better with Graviton Surge. It's true. Amin goes to the middle of the team again. Fleta waiting, got that grab, throws it into the wall here. Can they capitalize on it? There's a sound barrier to burn through. Looks like they're going to get Jinmu at least. Seoul Dynasty rotating around the outside. They've got a couple members of Hunters split off, and they're going to capitalize. Let Young down. Seoul Dynasty looks like they're going to control the point for now, at least.
Seoul holding on to a lot of ultimates there, too. Really only having to commit the rally to that engagement. So they're going to be feeling confident. Chengdu has to build up a lot of charge right now to make it through. And with Seoul approaching that 63%, they've got about 2 fights left in them.
Seoul on the verge of tying up Ilios here. Chengdu Hunters coming back in with their style. Usually you look at the ults, but it's like these guys can make plays in a way a lot of other teams can't. But Fissure with that Primal Rage is going to make it way tougher. Has to be careful. You're trying to get behind the Hunters so they can keep them trapped in the corner. So he's going to do, it's going to be a shield from Seoul as well. Late Young down. They're going to try to use Lucio's ult to get in onto the Hunters here. Wow, Transcendence actually going to turn things around for Chengdu, keeping everybody up through that fight, and they're going to flip this one back.
I mean, Seoul just keeps getting trapped in these situations where the minefield from Hammond is ridiculously effective.
Well, I mean, it's like you said, Amin just finds a way to kind of herd Seoul into a corner, and then he puts down the minefield. Then they've got the other CC ultimates. It's the space control from Hunters is really good.
Yeah, you could see them just sort of slowly tightening around the Seoul Dynasty like a python, and then they just squeeze.
Like a Hunter. Oh, Late Young. He just kind of got bounced right in there. He might have actually just hopped in there accidentally, too. Michelle. Oh, Michelle didn't have his charge as he went in. Jinmu sending him to an early grave. but Seoul Dynasty looks like they might just have the firepower to turn this one around again. And at 99%, they will flip it back, and they're close to 99% themselves too. So Seoul with a chance here, but Hunters have the ultimate.
Yeah, Chengdu also is going to be having the Zarya in front because Late Young died early, so there is a chance here to use that Graviton Surge effectively and get Late Young in first, and that's going to happen. But
he got Ian! Michelle, that's two in one round that he ate, and Amen getting bounced into the pit by Fissure. Seoul Dynasty turning this one around. Chengdu trying to stay alive though, but it's not gonna happen. Fissure saves that Primal Rage to finish this one. And they have a self-destruct from Elsa coming in, but he's not gonna get back in smack, and that's gonna be Seoul taking well. Talk about Michelle. You know, I brought him up in the pregame. This guy is so good. Ate 2 Gravitons in one round.
2 huge Gravitons.
Dude,
those were incredibly consequential to the outcome of that point.
Yeah.
Can't rely on that, though, you have to say.
No, you shouldn't need to rely on that, but no doubt, when push comes to shove, Michelle is certainly one of the bright spots of this kind of Seoul Dynasty 2.0 team. And players on your screen like Fleta, well, it was Fleta, now it's Michelle again, but are having a little bit of a hard time getting kind of bounced around by Hunters, but Michelle playing it calmly, really being aware of when those Gravitons are going to come in. You don't eat 2 Graviton Surges in one round by accident a lot of times. That's just good game awareness.
All right, well, coming out, Jinmu will be playing the Pharah this time. Elsa returning to Sombra duties, so back to a 2-2-2 composition, sort of a rarity in the Overwatch League these days.
Yeah, Jinmu played a lot of the Pharah in their last match. Not surprised to see him back on that pick again. Baltal going to be giving him the healing on Mercy. Seoul Dynasty rushing to the point early. It's on Hunters to push them off. Jinmu just firing through the window. Close the window. Oh, you can't. You can't actually do that.
No, you can't. And here's the engage happening already. Jinmu's going to be pushed out, though, by Michelle's Diva.
Yep, for the moment. All right, Seoul takes the point first. Jinmu still being pressured a bit by Michelle, but you notice Michelle's not taking any extra chances. Just pushing him away once in a while. Gonna get D-Mech now, as Hunter's coming back in again. Jinmu gets a barrage really quick. Whoa, before Fleta finally gets in his face and roasts him here. Meanwhile, fast coalescence coming up from Jaehong on that Moira. Seoul Dynasty doing a pretty good job, actually, of holding this one, but now Hunter's coming back in with that Transcendence.
Oh, late trance there, even though Late Young's gonna be coming back into this engagement.
Veltal got the res on the Late Young, actually. They got their Diva back again, but they can't quite force Seoul off. I think it's time to regroup if you're the Chengdu Hunters here.
I think this has been excellent from Seoul. They're just keeping cool, even though they're getting bombarded from every angle, disrupted by Amen coming into the point.
Wow, Fissure actually took out with a Fire Strike. That's a pretty nice, accurate Fire Strike.
That's a nice bonus to get there at the end of a fight, too.
Feels good. A little moral victory there. Check it out again, Fissure. Of course, once again leading the charge like we'd always see. Meanwhile, it looks like there's a fight back on the point here. Oh, from downtown. Whoa! That was sick.
As a rank player, I always enjoy those. All right, here comes Elsa. EMP available. There it goes.
That's right. Lights have been turned out on Seoul Dynasty, and Amen's going to waste no time in getting in there and grabbing a couple kills. Going for the knockoffs, too. Woo! I always get afraid when people slam right on the edge of maps like that, but he handled it. It's okay. Seoul Dynasty, though, getting a couple kills of their own. And Hunter's having a bit of a hard time finishing this fight here.
Yeah, Seoul has been in charge of this point the entire time so far. Chengdu has not really even come close to being able to take it. A lot of that thanks to Jekse with the sound barrier hiding from the EMP and then popping it on the members inside the bunker.
Well, that was big. Only a couple ultimates available for Hunters to try to take this one back right as Seoul Dynasty hit 99%. It's do or die time on this map. Amen, he just falls off. Somehow Amen just fell off the map. And Jinmu gets 2 at the barrage, but nobody can get there. And Seoul Dynasty will take Ilios. I gotta see a replay, but I wonder if
I think he pile drove off the map there. I saw him drop really fast.
What did I just say? What did I just say? I said I worry about Hammonds when they do it so close to the end of the map, and that is probably why. Crazy first map. We're in for a great series. See you for map 2 in just a moment.
The Overwatch League is powered by Intel. Game, record, stream without compromise on Intel Core i7. And by Omen by HP, the official PC and display of the Overwatch League.
GOATS is a composition where you have 3 tanks, Rein, Zarya, D.Va, and 3 supports, Brigitte, Lucio, and Zen. Sometimes Moira, sometimes Ana, depending on what you want.
And the point of the comp is to have a high sustain, high mobility comp that is really hard to kill. A big part of that is the heal output of Brig.
The utility she brings are stuns and dashes. It makes her good at controlling dive heroes such as Genji and Tracer.
Win condition for GOATs, essentially just playing together and brawling, going around playing as essentially like a transformer, you know, got 6 people but all in one, just going around, going on targets together, not splitting up.
So there's a lot of little meta things that people don't realize, but GOATs is kind of complex, but it's very easy to play.
There you go. A little bit of explanation about what GOATs is. We tend to say 3-3 nowadays, but
yeah, more descriptive of what the composition actually is. But if you do hear GOATs, that's what it means.
You need to have old school awareness of the contender scene to understand the GOATs moniker. But 3-3 works just the same. Thanks for joining us again. What a crazy first map from Seoul Dynasty, and it really kind of came down to that last moment on Lighthouse. Let's take a look at it, where first we saw Amon just kind of fall to his death, and all right,
looks like he got bashed off and then piles roll down.
Oh no. All right, well, that happens. So because it was his own ability that killed him, I guess that's why we didn't see the whip shot getting credit for that. And of course, Chengdu did drop the barrage, but it was the Graviton Surge that actually kept the Hunters from getting on the point and contesting it. Just a great grab, actually, coming out from Seoul Dynasty. And what can you say? First round looked very, very rough. Well, looked a bit better, still rough. Last round, Lighthouse, great for Seoul.
Yeah, and Amon used the pile driver there because he was actually trying to die faster so that he could come back. He knew he was done after getting whip-shotted off there, looked like, so might as well just go ahead and reset as fast as possible.
He was right close to the edge, too, and sometimes if you're facing the right direction, you move forward a little bit when you slam, and so he thought maybe he could get back on the edge there, too. Bacon Jack subbing in for Late Young. That's a swap that the Hunters have done in the past.
Yeah, might mean some more hit scan play with Bacon Jack, probably some Widowmaker we will be seeing on this next map. So interesting, because we rarely see things that are not 3-3 on Hollywood. So that is going to be a little bit different. But I like the Chengdu style. I think they were really close to just 2-0ing that last map. I think if one of those Gravitons doesn't get eaten by Michelle on well, I think then the Chengdu Hunters just 2-0 that map. But fortunately, you know, they did, and at the end of the day, I thought Seoul had a really good defense. They played very well in that tight, controlled area. The Moira swap, I think, was super smart to get the extra healing output out so that the Pharah rockets and the poke damage coming in from the outside was not going to take anybody out.
You can also tickle that Moira or tickle that Pharah a little bit with the Moira, too.
Yeah,
you got the range on
Pharah
the right click to be annoying. Yeah, you know, you can never, it's hard to, like, do solid damage to the Pharah, but you can tickle it with the Ana, with the Moira, with McCree sometimes. Sounds like a tickling.
I don't know if I call that tickling.
I say tickling, but more I mean fill with bullets. But you get the idea. You get the idea. And if you don't, well, sorry.
This broadcast is for you.
There you go. We're going to Hollywood, guys. It's going to be our hybrid map between Seoul Dynasty and the Chengdu Hunters, and it should be fun. It's cool to see Bacon Jack come in. This guy was such a legend of the scene over in Asia for a long time. Made a lot of waves in the World Cup as well when he was playing, and so it's great to finally have him back in the Overwatch League.
Absolutely is. And I do wonder what the composition from the Chengdu Hunters is going to be, because
who knows? It's
about as standard as it could be in this metagame.
Yeah,
Lots of teams are preferring to have the Reinhardt-centric 3-tank, 3-support. Makes sense here.
That's what you want to run if you're Seoul, of course. I mean, Fissure is a pretty great Reinhardt player.
He's pretty great overall, you got to
say. Yeah, he sure is, yeah. Swaps from the Chengdu Hunters, and of course, looks like they're going to go with that single tank setup again. Single tank for Amon, single healer for Veltal on Mercy.
All Hammond, all the time.
That's right. I guess
Love
you've
it
got
from
Kyo
Chengdu.
Over to the Zenyatta too now. It is all Hammond all the time.
So 3 DPS, 3 damage dealers, and the Pharah is going to be trying to push them off of this point, while the Sombra and the Tracer are going to come around for the flank. Amon is just so incredibly annoying and disruptive.
No kidding. And he generally does it fairly safely, too. Up on the roof, dropping down. Stunned, though, he's in big trouble. Has to get away, nearly paid for it, did pay for it with his life. Michelle getting the finishing blow there as Seoul Dynasty works their way back onto the point to force back the Chengdu Hunters.
Yeah, it's things like that that Amon knows about playing Wrecking Ball, where you can actually just dive down and punch them as they're walking forward as he slides down the roof with the pile driver.
Right.
You know what? They're still going here, too, and Amon's already back.
He's back, man. That's another thing is you can have that tank be aggressive if that tank is Hammond. He can just roll his way back to the fight in a hurry. But there goes Veltel. Michelle found him. Flew up in the air and took him down. And Bacon Jack just waiting for that pulse bomb. Maybe he can find a pick if he gets it up. But there's a lot of low health members on Chengdu right now. I think they got to be kind of careful here.
Yeah, they need to pull back out of this. And I think one of the most infuriating things I could imagine about playing against the Hunters is target selection.
Yeah.
They're so mercurial. They sort of just ebb and flow around you. And how do you call a target with a low mobility composition like triple tank, triple support?
You just have to be very confident in your picks here. Sound barrier thrown out, or rather, not sound barrier. It's going to be the pulse bomb thrown out. No kills out of that one. Jinmu, though, finds 2 with the barrage. Sets up another one as well. D-Mex Michelle. And that's going to be the Hunters claiming the point.
This is what the Hunters do, though. So Bacon Jack's at the top of the staircase, throwing a pulse bomb down there to zone people down the staircase because they have a Pharah above you with a rocket barrage locked and loaded. So there's no really a good place to go in that scenario.
That's what they do, man. It's like last map. They herd you into the place where they want to fight you, and then they fight you and kill you there.
That's right.
How about that?
It's like a cattle drive every day here for the Chengdu Hunters.
Pretty much.
They're like the Hunters, the Velociraptors. They just come from both sides at once.
Clever girl, right? Michelle taking out Jinmu. And so Hunters do find themselves a man down on this push here. User gets out in time. And it's still going to be a hold for Munchkin. Wow, Munchkin. Battle Brigida getting aggressive there, waiting for the rest of his team to catch up, but they do take down Kyo. Just grinding through that Zenyatta's health here, and now the defense gets very aggressive for Seoul.
They're going to have to back off right now, though. Seoul does manage to stop the payload and punish, you know, some of those forward players with some late kills before they can get back as the Chengdu Hunters regroup. They may have a bit of a difficult time in this choke. Depends on whether this EMP is going to be effective. And the EMP is going to come out very soon.
It's got to be a good one. Coming through, there's the EMP right now. Jaehong, the first victim of that, as Zenyatta's often are. Ooh, and Michelle, though, gets 2 in return with his self-destruct. Chengdu, can they respond here? Graviton surge for Seoul now. Pulse bomb comes in from Bacon Jack, gets nothing, though. Except himself, it seems like. And Chengdu back to spawn again. Ameng, gotta be careful. He's gonna get staggered really badly. Ooh, gets out with just a little bit of health remaining. And still a solid defense, but Seoul had to use a lot on that fight.
They did, but at the same time, they can afford to use a lot because most of Chengdu's ultimates are not going to be especially effective, except for that EMP. For the most part, their ult economy is less important, and they need to make plays with their damage-dealing character.
Oh, Amon came to drop bombs, and that's exactly what he did, but Fleta not gonna have any of it. Takes him down, and Seoul Dynasty still okay on that point. Fissure just rolling through the minefield. And that Primal Rage doesn't really have a whole lot to worry about. And 2:30 left on the clock for the Hunters now.
I mean, as much as I love what Chengdu's doing, and I think they're executing it pretty well, it is so hard to play against the triple tank, triple support because the margin for error is just much lower than it is with this many DPS heroes on the map.
Amon down again, and oh, that's not a barrage. I think that Jinmu is going to be happy with.
They need to switch off anyway.
Yeah, it is time to make some swaps. There's the Brigida. I'd imagine we're going to see the 3-3 come out here for Chengdu. Probably going to keep Else on that Sombra. Or, no, wait for it. Bacon Jack's on the Zarya. All right, well, it's
the Chengdu Hunters do not know what goats are. No.
they can play 3 supports, but that's as close as they're going to come.
Yeah, they are going to go straight into some more DPS. Jaehong, the unfortunate victim, and they knew he had the Transcendence, his ultimate available as well.
There's not much you can do against, or as Zenyatta against that, and Amon just going to roll in after everything, and that's going to be a pretty clean fight. It's surprising, because it seems like Seoul just wasn't ready for that one for some reason.
Well, I think it's hard. You know, that EMP, if you can't find the Sombra immediately, there's really nothing you can do besides preemptively pop your Transcendence. It's really just better for Seoul to save it to the next fight because they got so much time off the clock anyway, and they should be, I think, confident heading into their own attack round, considering how well they've been doing in most of these fights.
Drops a minefield as Seoul tries to pile onto the cart now. They kind of walk through before it activates, so it's not so bad, but Amon coming in with a lot of shields. Able to do a lot of damage there, but Seoul Dynasty in the end is going to turn this one around. They did have that sound barrier, didn't need to use it, just working off the Transcendence from Jaehong actually to win that fight.
Yeah, Seoul starting to adapt to this too. They're no longer very easily phased by Amon dropping that minefield. Instead, they just use one support ult. That's what they saved. They had the Transcendence because they didn't use it in the last fight because they were actually unable to thanks to the hack. But this time, they're able to roll forward with it and really ignore that minefield. And that forces Amon over to the Reinhardt now.
If you're not CC'd, you've got time to walk through before it activates too. Whoa, Fleta dropping the grab on the front of the payload here. Michelle gets a kill into Amon. And that's going to push the rest of Hunters back. It's a clever little Graviton Surge placement there. Elsa was there in position to block, but Fleta found a way to just sneak it in on that payload. And now we're down to under 20 seconds remaining for the Hunters. It's do or die, and they don't have any ultimates. They're going to maybe have full support ultimates, maybe the grab for this fight.
Yeah, the rally armor is going to start falling off soon as well for the Chengdu Hunters as they're on their approach here, so fewer hit points available to this team.
Oh, that's a nice Earth Shatter come through from Fissure. Amon falls immediately. Now this self-destruct is going to need to be massive. Doesn't do a whole lot. Graviton Surge comes in from the Hunters, but nobody there to follow up. They've already lost a lot of their damage-dealing players. So now it's just a scramble to keep the payload alive, but I think that's going to be about it. Seoul ducks and covers as the self-destruct from the Hunters come in. It's not going to be any kills coming to that. Nobody can get to the payload. That is a solid stop for Seoul. That's a great defensive effort by them.
Yeah, very good. And now they're being smart, playing around the choke points where the Chengdu Hunters can't get around them to flank as easily when they're not in the open, and they have to go through these corridors to reach.
All right, quick break, and we'll be back with the next round. And we're back here on Hollywood. Seoul Dynasty making a good stop on the Chengdu Hunters halfway through point B. And, you know, you and I were talking about it during the break, Monty. It kind of feels at this point like Seoul may have just kind of figured the Hunters out.
I think you're really seeing the limitations of what you can do with the Chengdu Hunters style in this meta.
Yeah.
The issue with having 3 tank, 3 support is it's just ridiculously consistent. Is it ideal in all scenarios? No. But can you always do something with it? Sure. And you can always just drag out the match, burn time off the clock, because it's so difficult to just grind through all of the healing and all of the HP on those tanks.
Yeah.
So it makes it very challenging. And you have to get those perfect pickoffs if you're the Chengdu Hunters. Like, you have to outplay them at a pretty fundamental one-on-one level with these damage dealers if you're going to make that transition.
Seoul Dynasty transitioning to a different composition themselves now, going for that 3 tank, 3 support. Jaehong on the Moira again. Chengdu Hunters, though, a lot of DPS on this defense. A lot of damage coming in from them.
They're just trying to rush right now the points. They're going to have that Moira. They're not too concerned about any long-range damage coming in, even though the Ashe has been pulled out for Bacon Jack.
Yep. Overwatch's newest hero here, Ashe. Not a lot of people playing her yet, but Bacon Jack's going to give it a try. Oh, they do get Jexa in the end, but Fleta takes out Q. That Zenyatta's going to have a long walk back to point A, and now Bacon Jack gone. Fleta just walking in and says, hey, you know what? I've got a huge plasma beam cannon thing. That's the official title, by the way. I get shields for days, so.
What happened there was that Fissure jumped in the top alongside Jexa, and they pushed them into the staircase. When you're in a close range like that, and Brigitte is getting AoE heal alongside the Moira in close confines, Fleta could just go crazy with Zarya right clicks, dealing a lot of area of effect damage inside that. Great strategy here just to disrupt the high ground defense over that cafe from the Hunters.
And now, Seoul Dynasty has over 5 minutes to push this payload just halfway about through point B, and it's going to be pretty tough to stop them if you're the Chengdu Hunters.
Chengdu's trying to make adjustments. They want to go back to the Hammond with the 3-3 composition.
No ultimates, though.
Yeah, might be a little bit tough.
Big knock-up from Amon coming in, gets a lot of shields, of course, from that E on the Winston. Now Jaehong coming in. The Moira ultimate Coalescence doing quite a bit, but Chengdu not going to have any of it. They're just going to go ahead and push Seoul back a little bit. That said, Fleta coming back again, and that's the fragility of the Hunters' composition. I mean, yeah, you can try to put Seoul on the back foot, but eventually they can just walk in there with that healing, and we're seeing the same thing we just saw in A.
They know what's happening now. They know Amon's looking for these big pile driver plays on the wrecking ball coming in from up top, and they're just disengaging and waiting for him to leave. And now,
can they even get there?
Can they even? Well, Amon can get it there.
Amon
that's for
there.
sure.
All right, gets grabbed immediately. All right, drops on the minefield, but Fissure is already through to where the map will never get to. In this particular one, just taking out Kyo in the hallway as you do. Self-destruct coming in for Michelle. No kills out of that one. Bacon Jack low, though. They take out his Zarya. Now it's just Elsa, pretty much. The last substantial piece of hit points on the payload. It's going to be the sound barrier for Seoul Dynasty. Jinmu falls. Here comes Elsa's self-destruct. No kills out of that one. Seoul Dynasty re-engaging now. They just got to get the cleanup finish, and they'll win this map and go up 2-0 in this series. Amon gets another sound barrier. Chengdu Hunters doing an admirable job of staying alive, but Seoul has so much time on the clock. I'm shocked the Hunters are still in this one.
And there's another minefield from Amon actually trying to push the members of Seoul off
doing
the payload, but they're starting to turn this around. Potentially now it's over.
There we go. That second grab comes in from Fleta. That's going to do the job. Seoul Dynasty goes up 2-0 in this series.
Really convincing win on Hollywood there, but that's a map that's going to be more advantageous to 3-3 composition.
Sure. Things might change when we go towards our assault map after the break. Don't go anywhere, guys. More action coming up on the Overwatch League right after this.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by Toyota, official North American partner of the Overwatch League. Toyota, let's go places.
The Seoul Dynasty currently have the 2-0 lead over the Chengdu Hunters in this matchup so far. Fleta looking like him old self so far in this matchup. Malik here once again with Zoe and Bryn here at the half. Guys, a lot of talk about the Dynasty and what team we were going to see going into this game. They're looking a lot like the top-tier Seoul Dynasty today.
Yep, I'm starting to think that I've been sleeping on Seoul a little bit now as well. I've been underrated them. You know, I predicted Chengdu. I had a feeling that they were going to be coming out on top in this matchup because they do play that unconventional style of Overwatch. But they had a good early showing, but, you know, kind of fell off a little bit later on.
All right, let's go ahead and... Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to...
No, sorry, Malik.
I'm just so ready to get to the highlights right now because we had a lot of good plays, especially on Ilios in that first map. So let's go ahead and jump into those highlights right now. So it looked like Chengdu was going to pretty much steamroll Seoul right out the gate.
Early on, they had some very good showing, to be honest. And I think Seoul recognized what they were losing to pretty early on. They were having a lot of issues when it came to the Sombra play that was going against them. And Kia was popping off pretty much the entire game, right?
Yes.
This is all really good things from Chengdu. But it all changed around. When they started switching things up, Chengdu eventually, they moved on after this initial round. They moved over to the Pharah Mercy composition. Didn't end up working out in their favor at all. This was stylish.
That fire string.
This is me like making the point that Fisher's, you know, going to be the reason that Seoul implodes and he's doing plays like this. I don't think that's happening.
I think Michelle was definitely, again, a really big stand-up player there. He ate 2 grabs from Late Young and really showed him who's boss on that diva. And he just continued in that manner like throughout the entirety of the game. Even though Jinwoo had some good moments on that Pharah, it was just not enough.
All right, so in the first map, we saw that, you know, they want to stick with Wrecking Ball, and Seoul was able to adjust. Moving in here to Hollywood, why didn't they, you know, make some adjustments? Maybe take the Wrecking Ball, switch it up. It seems like Among is really dedicated to staying on against Wrecking Ball.
Among is like a Wrecking Ball one-trick.
He's a one-trick hamster.
He's the one person you don't want in your ranked games. Is Among, you know?
No, but he is, because he's good on it. I don't mind a one-trick if they're actually good at it.
That's true, yeah, but the trouble is, because they feel the need to play this composition with around the Wrecking Ball so often, they often fall into the trap, essentially, and as soon as a team figures you out, like we saw Seoul do here,
yes,
you kind of fall short, and the composition loses a bit of its, you know, what made it so good in the first place. So I would like to see some flexibility coming out from Chengdu, just a little bit, you know, switch off the Wrecking Ball, you know, once or twice at least.
Just once or twice.
Right, and you know, all right.
I'm not asking much.
Watching this match, I had a few thoughts that went through my head. One of them being that we need to make like an award for Defensive Player of the Year or something, because Michelle, once again, showing how extravagant he is on defense.
Yeah.
Look at these stats right here.
This guy is honestly quite nuts, and this is crazy, right? The one point that you need to really think about here is the fact that this team has Zumba. Zumba, arguably the best performing player on Seoul Dynasty last year, and Michelle has taken his spot here, and he is absolutely turning up. He can play the Sombra very well, can play the Deep very well. The guy is an all-round fantastic player, and it's the one thing that, you know, last year, like I said, it's the one thing I didn't think Seoul needed, but he's clearly turning up now. He's showing results, so I mean, no arguments
he
here.
does so on so many different heroes.
Yeah.
Again, like we mentioned his Sombra time and time again. On D.Va, he definitely made it splash. He had 83% kill participation on that last map and literally only died once as well. So that was pretty big, yeah.
Right, and got to point out those 2 grabs that he ate, you know, at the end of
that was big.
round. That kind of turned things around for them. Now, so what are your thoughts going into the second half? Are we going to see a lot more of this dominance from the Seoul Dynasty?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I don't think that Chengdu can actually switch it up. I do believe that they're gonna roll up with exactly the same compositions. They're gonna stay with their wonky, more chaotic picks, and I do not think that Seoul is actually falling for it.
All right. The download has been complete, as Zoe says. Well, the Chengdu Hunters are going to be going for that reverse sweep. We'll see if they can do it right after the break.
They don't just play for a team. They play for every fan, every rival, every moment, every match. And when everyone watching expects the best, they perform with the best.
Welcome back to the Overwatch League, everybody. Right now, the Seoul Dynasty up 2-0 over Chengdu Hunters. And I gotta say, you know, we heard the analysts talk about it a little bit during the break. We talked about it a bit ourselves. I think if the Hunters don't change things up a little bit, they may have just been figured out to the point that it's gonna be tough to come back in this match.
Yeah, I think it is too, although it must be said that some of these maps are going to be a little bit tricky for Chengdu because they are so favorable in certain choke points.
Fair enough.
To the 3-3 compositions, especially Hollywood and Rialto. So I think that if there's going to be, obviously if there's going to be a comeback, they have to win the next two, and coming back on Rialto is going to be super tough. I think that if Chengdu was going to take this match, it had to look like they win Ilios, and then they win Horizon, and then they take it to a map 5 and win there on Control as well.
Yeah.
Not going to happen now, so Chengdu certainly has their work cut out for them.
And now you're at the point, as we get started on Horizon Lunar Colony, that you got to win. You got to win so hard that you break the spirits of Seoul Dynasty if you want to come back as the Hunters, and they want to break their spirits using Torbjorn, apparently.
Why not, Doa?
Why not?
Why not just play like a crazy team where you set up some turrets here for Jinwoo's Torbjorn, you try and control the point. And the reason why they're probably doing this is, first off, it's unexpected, and second off, if you Molten Core on the point itself, it really does do a lot of damage to those tanks. But you know who's not playing a lot of tanks? Sold up.
Oh, they might swap it up. They did send Michelle out to check it out.
All right,
and
so Symmetra is going to be it. So they're just going to go straight to the point. This is a strategy we saw last week, used by the Los Angeles Gladiators to disrupt an entrenched position with all these turrets. So they're just going to rush straight in.
Yep, that's the plan.
Uh-oh, what's going on here?
Oh,
they could get the Reinhardt over. Unlucky, has to charge over, so Fisher's there. They are going to get everyone there, but it's not as fast as they would have liked.
No, you kind of want to just rush the point with this and be surprising, but they didn't quite get there. Now they have to contend with that Bastion. A lot of shields to get through to try to take him out. They teleport up into the high ground. Jinwoo's turret gets taken down, I guess. Seoul Dynasty still standing strong in the front. Oh, but there goes Fisher. Bacon Jack finally finishes him off, but somebody's got to jump on the point. 2 ticks taken already by Seoul Dynasty. It's just Elsa on his own on the point, and Fleta, that beam is charged up, and he's going to start roasting people. Great shield, but the Reinhardt comes right through it. Remember, Symmetra charges her ammo off that shield, and Torbjorn throwing the ult in there. Maybe that will finally push Seoul back. It's going to be Jinwoo getting a couple of kills with the ultimate, the D-Mech on Michelle, and finally the kill on the Munchkin. And it's the Torbjorn at the end of the day that saves the day. Veltal might get the nano boost, but it's Jinwoo who boosted the Hunters to a win that time.
Yeah, they're still coming in, though. The members of Seoul trickling in to help Fisher here on this point, and he is going to get Keo.
They're so close. Oh, someone's on there. And the Hunters couldn't stop them. Michelle in mini diva form actually took the point.
He did. Oh, wow.
What a baller.
Well, that is interesting, but that's the problem with the Chengdu Hunters composition. Is it lacks a lot of mobility when you're in the turret mode on the Bastion, when you're standing next to your Torbjorn turret, and they're not going to switch off, Doa. They've got a lot of ults about to come online if you're Chengdu, so we'll see if they make a transition after they use this. Seoul Dynasty, a lot of changes and resetting their own economy. So Chengdu should be feeling pretty confident. They've got a tank mode here. Watch for Bacon Jack's Bastion turn into that tank and start jumping down and dealing a lot of area of effect damage.
I mean, Seoul nearly had about 5 minutes to try to, or 6 minutes rather, to try to take this one, so they're feeling pretty good, even if they have to slow push. And look at this, they're just walking up the stairs behind the Bastion position.
They've created a crossfire of turrets. The Bastion is on one side of the point, and the Torbjorn turret is on the other. How do you get into this? Molten Core now going to be
all right, Jinwoo tossing his ultimate in there. The floor is lava. And Seoul Dynasty needs to back off. I mean, it's literally lava.
It is. And their diva, Michelle, is actually stuck, not with the rest of the team at the moment, on the flank. So they continue to rotate around the outside.
I love this.
And now they're going to try to take the high ground to deal with this Torbjorn turret.
You got to deal with that Bastion fast. They're going to throw the Fire Strike too. They displace Bacon Jack. Oh, he dies right as he pops that ultimate. Jaehong with the clutch click on Bacon Jack. Now Seoul Dynasty with the sound barrier on the point. Can they finish it right here? They've got 1 tick already, and the Hunters are scrambling.
That was a brilliant play, Doa. Michelle was waiting on the flank to throw the self-destruct at the high ground.
Yeah, that was perfect, man. Amen coming in, he's got a lot of shields. He popped that E right in the middle of the Seoul Dynasty, gets taken out eventually, and now the Hunters trickling in, trying to buy as much time as they can, but that was the best attack on Horizon Lunar Colony we've seen yet, I think.
That was really impressive from Seoul. On-the-fly decision-making against a weird composition. They rotated 5 members to the high ground, threw a self-destruct at the other high ground. Amazing.
Dude, IQ 9000 coming back with the next round right after this. I love this series. Seoul Dynasty with a brilliant series of maneuvers to outmaneuver the Chengdu Hunters and their interesting bash composition on defense. But now the Hunters have a chance to attack back. They have got a mountain to climb, though, because that's 425 in the time bank for Seoul Dynasty. That is a ridiculous amount of time after an attack on this map.
Yeah, I'm just impressed that Seoul managed to do 2 different things there. We're going to take a look at this. Now, watch where the Torbjorn turret is. And see, they're going to use that self-destruct coming in, and it's going to get Jinmu. So they're falling down to the point at the same time. But they basically cleared 2 high grounds simultaneously by setting the D.Va apart from the rest of the composition. And I think that adaptation to a very strange and unorthodox composition was very smart from Seoul.
True enough. Chengdu Hunters making a last-minute swap. Veltal over on the Mercy, actually. Bacon Jack over on the Sombra. As they go on the attack, decide they don't like what they see, and they make a couple alterations. So, Jinmu on the Pharah now.
This might be a little bit tricky because for the Seoul Dynasty, because they have to get onto the point. They've been sort of zoned off right now.
True enough.
We'll take a mid-air shield bash from Munchkin just to make sure he gets back to the rest of his team.
That's dangerous. Fissure gets his Zarya shield after losing about half his health. Chengdu Hunters rotating around the side. You got to find a way to deal with this Pharah, and so far not so good for Seoul Dynasty as they just try to hold the point a little bit here.
Fisher's doing a good job of touching it though, so the control percent isn't actually building very quickly.
Yeah.
He's playing on the edge, waiting for the rest of his team, has enough shields to make it work, and they haven't even gotten that tick, as you say.
Wow, yeah, buying a lot of time so far are the Seoul Dynasty. Chengdu Hunters need to get a bit more aggressive here. Jinmu nearly has that barrage, and I think that's going to be the moment.
Yeah, the problem.
Find a good angle.
The issue for Seoul is they can't actually heal up because the Brigitte's not in range to trigger the passive of her heal by using the melee.
All right, good barrage. Gets Munchkin already. Oh, the Jexay ready. Headshots coming in, but they do have the res from Veltal, so it's okay to lose that Pharah early. Meanwhile, Minefield out as Amek slams down. Seoul Dynasty takes a ton of damage from that. Jinmu finishes him off. And Chengdu Hunters looks like they're going to take a pretty quick point A.
Very good patience there from the Chengdu Hunters. They did have to use the EMP, which I think they'd rather have had just to snowball quickly and make sure they could point cap B nearly instantly. It's not going to be there, though. That means Seoul Dynasty has a really good opportunity to stabilize right now on their B defense.
All right, it's going to be the rally now for Seoul Dynasty. Munchkin giving everybody a little bit extra armor as Amen comes in. Gets caught in that Graviton Surge right away. They really want to get rid of that Hammond. Bacon Jack on the outside looking for the hacks. Amen gets the nano boost, actually. Goes up on the high ground a little bit here. Comes in with the slam. The tanks knocked sky high, but Amen has to back away. Seoul Dynasty, like we surmised, able to defend there, but the crucial thing is they didn't need to use a lot of ultimates to do it.
Just a rally, basically. That was the only thing that was super important in that engagement.
Yeah.
And now Chengdu will be swapping up that they had to use that. So it's going to be a slow push for them regardless. They keep on the Hammond here, the unorthodox main tank in the 3-3. But when you are a specialist like Amden is, you feel comfortable playing around it.
Very true. Hunters coming in again. That self-destruct. Seoul Dynasty need to be careful here. Amen comes in with the slam, drops a minefield yet again. Backing away, got those extra shields and some armor, trying to stay alive. Transcendence used for Seoul. Ooh, that paves the way for Fleta to get a double kill. No fear when you're getting that healing. And they're just going to eliminate all the mines. So another good defense for Seoul. And again, not having to use a ton of resources to do it.
Seoul has figured out a sequence of ultimates to use against the Chengdu Hunters. And that ultimate, they're basically waiting for Amin to engage. They know that's the trigger for the Chengdu Hunters. And as soon as they see the minefield drop, they just trance and speed boost out with the Lucio. So they move quickly through the minefield, have the healing, and they just attack the front line where the Wrecking Ball is not. It's a 6 versus 5. Seoul wins the fight.
Amin dropping down in the middle there, but he's too far in. Had no support there, and that was an easy kill. And again, the Hunters back to spawn to wait for their main tank to regroup.
Yep, quick stun there from Munchkin on the Brigitte by using her shield bash ability.
I mean, there was just nobody there. He dropped down the middle of the Seoul Dynasty team while the rest of the team is being held at the door.
Yep.
What do? You die. That's what you do.
Yep, you answered your own question.
There you go. I do that sometimes. Hunters have some ultimates coming into this one. A little bit more of a chance, but it's a rally right away from Seoul Dynasty. Letta waiting for a chance to use that grab. They got the sound barrier going in now. Transcendence from Chengdu, from Kyo to try to keep everybody alive. Oh, but that's a big shatter from Fissure. Jinmu down early on. And Seoul Dynasty has Ameng in their backline, but they're still winning this fight with ease. It seems like Letta just chasing people down on that Zarya. And he's really starting to come into his own on this hero. In this series especially, I think we've seen the best Fled Azari that we've seen yet.
Yeah, it really has just been a game of ignore the Wrecking Ball now for Seoul. I think they were thrown off by it in that first match, but now they realize that once Amin comes in, they can just charge the rest of the composition, and there's just not going to be enough durability, hit points there from the Hunters to really do much of anything.
Yeah, you just speed boost away from that Hammond when he comes in, and you're like, oh, see ya, thanks for the 65. Ameng, he does have the minefield. Waiting for a chance to use it, regrouping back with the team again. It's the only ultimate they've got. They're waiting for Bacon Jack's Graviton Surge to come online.
Yeah, if that gets eaten again, keep an eye on Michelle. See if he can actually take out that Graviton Surge with the defensive matrix.
No kidding. Michelle getting really, really low. They'd love to demech him right now. And he does get demeched. Jaehong not able to keep him up at the Transcendence, and now the grab comes out with no problems at all. That is a minefield to have for Amin. And that's exactly what the Hunters needed. Demeching Michelle. No chance that grab is getting eaten. And that's when you go in.
And that's the combo that they wanted earlier in this match and couldn't get. Fissure's going to be back on his own Wrecking Ball right now just to stall out the point.
Now they've got their own Graviton Surge. Shuba Kyo ready with that Transcendence. Seoul Dynasty scrambling a little bit here, but anytime they can use off the clock, it's good stuff. Self-destruct coming in now. Amin just helping clean some of those respawns off, and that's going to be the Hunters taking 2 points themselves. Much less time in the time bank, but they got the job done in the end.
They did. Took a long time to get the combo execution they needed, but they landed it, and that takes them through.
Quick break, and then we'll be back with some extra rounds. I hope you had a chance to catch your breath because, man, those were two exciting rounds coming out of Seoul Dynasty and the Chengdu Hunters. Both teams taking 2 points in their attack here on Horizon Lunar Colony, but the Seoul Dynasty doing it with a lot more time in the time bank. 4 minutes, 25 seconds. Chengdu Hunters, only 2 minutes and 9 seconds. They will be attacking first because of it.
Yeah, it looks like it's going to be a little bit of a tough round here for the Chengdu Hunters, especially considering how long it can take some of their compositions to actually set up and wipe the enemy team. This time, Chengdu going to be playing with a lot of healing. Holy moly, both Ana and Mercy. You rarely see that combination, about the highest healing output you can have in Overwatch.
Only thing more you could do is throw Moira in there, I suppose, but Chengdu Hunters wanting to keep everybody alive if they can. Jinmu takes a shot, gets healed back up again. Ooh, Bacon Jack need to be a little bit careful here, but already Seoul Dynasty having to be on the back foot a bit.
It's about controlling this space right now, making sure these tanks can push people out. So the Wrecking Ball is going to want to push them off the point. They're going to slowly poke their way forward by using the Pharaoh rockets to chip away at the health bars of the Seoul Dynasty.
Worked really well in the first attack, so it's not a big surprise to see them doing something similar. Michelle does take out Veltal with a punch. Uppercut to Mercy.
Veltal was very close to the ground there. And
yeah, he was.
Chengdu Hunter is still trying to put down some damage. They're going to demech and eliminate Michelle, so that's actually a big win for them, considering they have a respawn advantage. They will get to that point faster.
Yeah, D.Va can get to points quick, but it's still a longer distance to travel than the attackers have on this map. And now Jinmu gets the nano boost, throws out the barrage, finds nobody with it. Maybe reaching a little bit too far with that one, but his team does pick up a first tick on the point at least. Oh, he gets taken down though. Elsa with a kill onto Flooded though. In response, now Fissure waiting for it. Lots of damage being done there. Hammond trying to get in the back. He hasn't found too many kills yet. Still the Hunters in control of this fight for the moment. A hack onto Michelle is going to be a tough time. No more defense matrix coming out. Eat a lot of that. Finally gets over the hack now. Fissure was sleeping too, but they didn't kill him. And Chengdu having to regroup before coming back in again. Now they're on the ball again. Playing the ball, in fact. Jexay has that sound barrier though. That's a big advantage for Seoul. They've got the extra health. Can they turn it into a teamfight win here?
Does Sweater want to use this? Or no, they're just going to back up. Give it up right now. They almost ran out the time on the clock. So Chengdu Hunters will take point A, and they're going to get an additional 30 seconds. But Seoul, I think, makes the right call. Save the Graviton for this next defense. Don't worry about stalling them here. We need to make sure they don't get point B as well.
20 seconds now for the Hunters to try to take point B. And it's like you said, you know, you can give that one up and then make sure they don't get anything on B. There's a hack coming in from Bacon Jack though. Oh, and that's a self-destruct that catches Fissure and Munchkin. Hunters putting together the right ultimate combo to put a ton of pressure on Seoul. That's one tick taken already. Amon down, and the respawn's coming in. But Seoul Dynasty have already given up more than they wanted to give on this particular point. They self-destruct Demex Elsa though.
Seoul did not expect that EMP to be coming back in that quickly. Flooded now coming here with a nano boosted Zarya, and he may be able just to clean up enough on this point. The res gets through onto Kyo from Yveltal's Mercy.
Yeah, this has just been the craziest brawl, but Seoul Dynasty finally starting to stabilize. They will, but giving up a bit more on B than they wanted, but at the same time, they've got so much time in the time bank, I feel like they still can't be too worried.
Yeah, they do. I have to agree with you, Duh, but that was definitely a surprise EMP, because it hit all 6 members of the Seoul Dynasty and nearly allowed the Chengdu Hunters to cap that second point. They did get 73.9% of the way through, and Seoul will have to match that.
Yeah, I mean, technically, aren't all EMPs supposed to be surprises?
That's true, but oftentimes they're not. You know they're coming. You're spread out. You're hiding around a wall. Yeah. If your ult tracking is accurate, most professional teams are going to know when that's coming through.
Tell that to the people in my rank game in Plat, man.
Okay, well, they're not professional players, so I don't expect the quality of ult tracking that I expect from a player like Jexay.
It's very generous of you. Seoul Dynasty on the attack now. 4:25 in the clock. To win the game, they need to take about 2/3 of point B. Ooh, and we might see the elusive Jaehong Soldier 76. It wouldn't be the first time, but I've got a feeling we're going to see some swaps, although you never know. In this matchup, I feel like you just genuinely never know what these guys are going to roll out with.
Chengdu is moving back towards the Junkrat composition. This time Bacon Jack on the Widowmaker though, so adding a little bit more mobility with the grappling hook as opposed to the low mobility Bastion, who actually can't move at all when he's in that turret defense.
Jex is gonna send out Munchkin for the scout on that Sombra, and let's see what they swap to now.
Mercy and Fleta's gonna be on the Genji, so going back to, well, a Fleta classic here from last season, but a hero we don't see a whole lot in the professional scene at the moment. However, if you're trying to dive the back line and focus down the Junkrats or the Widowmaker, this can work quite well.
The Genji without the Ana for the Nano Boost. Oh, Bacon Jack just gets eliminated by Munchkin. They did not see him coming. Oh, Kaio does get Fleta though. Munchkin with another one in response. Seoul Dynasty brawling their way towards the point right now. They've gotten some kills, but they need to finish off the fight.
Just a classic dive there, Doa. Munchkin lurking behind invisibly, the timing perfect. Fleta dashes in. They already have Munchkin there, just one-shotting, exploding Bacon Jack.
Super impressive from Seoul Dynasty, actually. I don't think anyone expected the Genji to come in, but Fleta, you know, that's one of the heroes he used to be really well known for, so what do you know?
It's a great read.
Yeah,
it's
Seoul
a great
swapping
read.
it up.
Yeah, they are swapping it up. They are going to play without the Zarya for the time being, and instead rely on Munchkin's EMP here.
Bacon Jack sees all. Well, it's a hack on the Jaehong. They're going to protect him with the Winston shield, though, so he'll have to translocate away. And here comes Amin into the middle of the team, as he always does. Just continuing to push Seoul back towards their spawn. A hack onto Munchkin here. Fisher does leap onto Jinmu for a kill there. Seoul Dynasty getting the 6v5 they were looking for. Now Munchkin throws out the EMP, and Amin not able to do anything, just flying through the air like a useless pinata that Seoul are happy to knock down. And they are absolutely crushing the Hunters on this attack right now. So Sound Barrier comes in, and that's going to nearly be it. I swear they've nearly got it. They do. And Seoul Dynasty will win this series. That's 3 maps in a row.
That's right, Doa. They get all the candy from the useless pinata that is the Chengdu Hunters.
What do you say?
It is pretty funny when you see that EMP, because the Wrecking Ball just becomes a slowly descending orb that is quite easy to shoot.
That's right. Well, 3-0 for Seoul, but 1 map to go. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by T-Mobile. High ground or low ground, T-Mobile has you covered. And by State Farm. Whatever life brings your way, State Farm is here to help life go right.
Well, the Seoul Dynasty have won 3 maps in a row. That means they're our match winner, but we still play out that 4th map because, of course, the game score does matter. Each map win gets you a little bit of something that might come in handy at the end of the stage and perhaps even at the end of the season overall. So it's still important to play out that map.
Yeah, especially because we have fewer games per team this season.
True.
Last season, we had 40 matches per team. This season, we only have 28. So that means that you know, each map is that much more important because it could be a determining factor in the tie breaks.
Yeah, that map differential does matter. Let's check a look. At our substitutions. Late Young coming back in for the Chengdu Hunters, subbing in for Bacon Jack. Doesn't look very thrilled about it. Come on, man, cheer up. You get to play on stage at the Overwatch League. Come on.
Late Young's very focused right now, and with a return to Rialto, I think we've seen some more damage dealer heavy compositions on point A defense here, but it's still a map that's going to be very favorable to running 3 tanks and 3 supports.
Oh, absolutely.
Especially the further the map goes on and you get into some of those really windy streets where you can play corners very well because of your durability and your healing. And there are a lot of small rooms that you can brawl in that limit the flanking options of some of the more mobile damage dealers that the Chengdu Hunters really like to play with.
Sure enough. Those gondoliers cutting it kind of close with those bridges.
They're robotic, it's fine.
I suppose.
They're not going to make mistakes.
It's like rockets on the bottom. Don't lean back when you're sitting in that boat or you'll burn your hair off. Yikes. Here we go. Seoul Dynasty on the defense. Chengdu Hunters on the attack. Fissure lurking around the outside. I just almost walked right over Elsa here as he takes the high ground. He gets his Zarya shield. Oh, and Fleta dies. Fleta just kind of steps off the edge, I guess. I want to see a replay of that one, see what happened exactly there. But Seoul Dynasty in a little bit of trouble. Fissure drops as well. Hunters might get some free distance here.
Okay, well, you never try these defenses on the bridge because any displacement ability. So a concussive blast from the Pharah can jettison you right over the edge. There's obviously a lot of Lucios in the meta. So that is going to be a very puzzling defense from the Seoul Dynasty.
All right, what in the world happened to Fleta here?
Fleta is going to walk forward and get concussive blasted off. And the reason why it didn't register is because he right-clicked himself on the bridge. So it didn't register as him just falling off the side.
He stole the kill from Hunters.
He stole the elimination.
He stole his own kill. How about that? Yep. Chengdu Hunters getting that payload almost all the way through A as Seoul Dynasty re-engaged. Amin trapped alone by himself. Pops E just in time. Gets enough shields to get away. Close call though. Meanwhile, Fissure very low and he's going to chase down that Hammond anyway. Jinmu firing rockets from the side, but Seoul Dynasty have kind of reclaimed their defense over this payload now, and it's going to start to roll ever so slowly backwards.
Yes, it will. Late Young still there trying to get some damage into the Seoul Dynasty as they hunt around for Elsa right now, trying to figure out where this Sombra with the EMP is. And that's going to be a stun.
Oh, what a bash actually coming in from Munchkin, handling Elsa before he could drop that EMP.
I mean, they got the Transcendence from the Zenyatta, though, so that's a win if you're the Chengdu Hunters.
Yeah, I suppose. Or if you're Seoul Dynasty.
So Seoul right now still going to be concerned about the EMP coming in from Elsa.
Yep. Going aggressive now. Minefield goes down, but they got Amin to place it a little bit inadequately. A little bit.
Well, right there, that was just a botched engage from the Hunters. Elsa had to translocate back, so wasn't in there. Pharah went too deep on the side of the Hunters. Now Elsa's back in position, though.
That's right.
And they still have to wait for Jinmu to catch up, and that's going to be another forced translocate by Elsa.
He got a little bit too close to Jexa and got found out. Had to back off again. Elsa running way back in there. Detected. Oh, Jaehong. Ooh, doesn't matter. Jaehong could not do anything about it. Fleta pops the Deadeye, but doesn't find any kills. Been a bit quiet on that McCree so far. Meanwhile, we're finding a few more, and it looks like Hunter's starting to pick apart the Seoul Dynasty, and they're going to get a little bit of distance on this payload once they clear off the final stragglers there. Goodbye Munchkin, and the payload is moving.
Yeah, so now they look like they are going to just take point A right here. Not sure the Seoul Dynasty are going to be able to mount an effective defense. They're probably just going to fall back. Michelle has not even respawned yet.
Yep.
See how hard they want to go. They're controlling the bridge right now, and Fleta's just going to die, but he takes out Amin in the meantime.
Sound barrier doesn't matter. Barrage comes in, and Jinmu gets 2. Before Michelle finishes him off with the charge. Seoul Dynasty. Ooh, Michelle actually gets another one. Seoul trying to bring this one back around, but I don't know if they've got enough. Maybe they do with Munchkin actually, and Hunters have to regroup.
Yeah, they do. Actually, Fleta sacrificing himself, making the trade for Amin on the bridge, meant that there wasn't enough tankiness on the payload itself.
Crazy.
It's actually a very good trade for the Seoul Dynasty.
And look at this. Again, the Hunters find themselves at sub 20 seconds to even finish point A here. That might be a bit of a problem. EMP. Elsa finds Jaehong. Hard to get away from that. Jaehong stays alive. Oh, the defensive matrix saved him.
And not only that, though, it was the rally armor from the Brigitte that saved him.
Yeah. Seoul coming together with those ultimates and the right click from D.Va to keep Jaehong alive. Now they're going back in on the fight. Jinmu, the first to fall on the Hunter side. Seoul coming up big with this defense, but they gotta watch out for that self-destruct, and Fleta can't get away. Fissure, though, finds the kill on the Zenyatta on the other side, and Amin diving down from on high, but he's losing more and more support. Gets Munchkin anyway, though. And Michelle has to try to stay elusive, try to stay annoying, hard to kill to stop that payload. We're deep into overtime now for Hunters. Jaehong a bit low, Amin finishes him off. Michelle finally gets demeched, and sound barriers on both sides. Souls comes in a little bit later, not as many targets for that.
Fleta's shooting in, though. He actually managed to pick off Late Young, and he's
another one.
Click on heads.
Fleta coming up big on that Widowmaker. Can he actually stop them from taking A, though? They're only less than 4 meters away. Michelle getting low health. Jinmu does take down Munchkin, and despite the heroic efforts of Fleta, I don't think they can quite do it.
I don't know if the tanks are still there. Finally, Amin has to go deal with this Widowmaker who's free firing. Primal Rage back up for Fissure, so that's 4 hit points on the payload.
Are you kidding me? What an insane fight at the end of this point here, but finally, the Hunters are gonna push it through. Getting another 2:20 on the clock.
That was wild.
That was close, man, yeah.
It's a wild ride there at the end for the Seoul Dynasty. I think the mistake was Fissure went too deep, trying to chase Elsa off, thinking that the rest of his teammates were going to be able to clear the tanks off the payload, but they had insufficient damage.
Like the Dwarves of Moria, he delved too greedily and too deep.
He did keep Elsa out of that fight for the most part, but I'm not sure that was the most worthwhile trade. Regardless, we're about to set up for another engagement here. Jaehong, once again, with the Transcendence on the high ground. Elsa going to fall.
Wow, Munchkin finding the Sombra and giving Seoul the 6v5 right at the beginning here. Lei Chung popped out of the mech, and that's going to be a reset for Hunters. Everybody dives into the canal. Canals look a lot cleaner in the future, don't they?
I guess I haven't been to Venice myself, though, so.
They're much more green than that in real life.
I'll take your word for it. I'll take your
Beautiful city, though. I love it. Hope I can go back sometime.
Seoul going to try and take the high ground once more just to make sure they can drop down onto the payload. This is an excellent spot for the payload to stop because Seoul can use the cover of the high ground and the corner depending on where they want to defend from.
Absolutely. Amin just kind of gets ground down there. Man, he's lucky he escaped with his life. That was a very close call.
He's a hamster who knows his limits, Doa.
Certainly is. Oh, drops a minefield from on high. No knockups with that slam, though. Oh, still managed to force Seoul away. Ooh, that was a close one. Tried to knock a few members of Seoul off. Self-destruct comes in for the Hunters. No kills to that one, but it still does break that sort of hard point that Seoul had set up, and now the Hunters will be able to kind of push people back. Uh-oh. Oh, dear. Jexy got the kill onto Lei Young. Lei Young trying to boop him off, but he got booped himself. Veltal back in there with a kill onto Jaehong, so Hunters still trying to brawl this out. This is insanity. Doesn't begin to describe the fights on this map.
It has been incredibly chaotic, but this is what Chengdu wants. They don't want the Seoul Dynasty to be all grouped up together.
Yep.
So the more they can isolate these into 1-on-1 and 2-on-2s, the better it is for them.
All right, EMP right into the slam here, and Kyo gets a kill onto Fissure right away. Seoul Dynasty do drop their sound barrier, but hasn't kept everybody alive. Fled in a lot of trouble too. Another minefield comes in. Amin builds those so fast.
And they're going to get a point B, though. In the end, Seoul Dynasty can't stabilize after getting knocked off that high ground.
Crazy.
And now just rolls in. And you know what? That defensive matrix doesn't stop. That last melee to take out Jaehong.
Not really. It's not StarCraft. Huh?
It's not StarCraft.
No,
sorry about that.
Yeah, I understand. Chengdu Hunters trying to take the offense to the nth degree by fighting Seoul nearly in their spawn room. They've only got a minute to push it the rest of the way through point C here. Rialto can be a tricky one to finish, though, so Seoul has a chance to stop this before the end.
They can. Look for that Graviton Surge. Fleta looking to drag everybody in, and they're just going to engage with a sound barrier.
Why not? Why stop being aggressive now, right? Hunters walk in, but they walk right into a big Earth Shatter from Fissure, and that's going to turn things around in favor of Seoul. Jaehong down, though.
It looks like at this point, this is about as far as the Chengdu Hunters are likely to get.
Seems that way.
They were able to, Seoul was able to win this fight while maintaining the Graviton Surge. They're going to be feeling pretty confident about that. Yet another hamster coming in, and now they have to use it just to deal with Amin.
He's going to walk right into the grab. That's right. I think they hacked him as well. Fissure kills him with the charge, and now they're going to walk out on the back of that rally from Munchkin, using that extra armor to pressure Hunters back off the point. And Now Chengdu down to just about 15 seconds remaining.
And they have to walk into an EMP, Noah. That's going to be scary. Michelle only 6% out. Elsa needs to get the EMP off before Michelle charges his.
That's right, trying to be sneaky. He's not going to waste any time, man. He's going to go in. There's the EMP right away. Seoul Dynasty, they didn't catch Jaehyung, so he gets him with the Transcendence, but Legends catches Jexay with the self-destruct. Now the EMP comes in from Michelle on the Seoul side of things, and they are going to turn this fight around. Legends gets hacked, gets demeched and de-lifed, as that could be about it. I don't think Elsa's going to be able to do much alone, Sombra, and that is going to be as far as it goes. And I got to say, with how point A went, the Hunters are probably going to be happy with that.
Yeah, they will. Superb execution. EMP right into Earthshatter for Seoul Dynasty. That's going to hit 3 members of the Chengdu Hunters and stop that push.
Well, exciting first round. Seoul gets their chance to attack right after this. Seoul Dynasty, their chance to attack now on Rialto. They've already won the match. It's kind of a victory lap for them, but hey, you'd much rather have that 4-0 than a 3-1 on the scorecard at the end of the day.
I'm curious to see if Seoul's going to do anything unorthodox on offense. Probably not. I think Chengdu did a very good job of powering through almost the end of Rialto when it looked like they were not even going to get 1 point on this map to start things off. They fought back ferociously.
Well, I mean, they are kind of like Hammond as a team themselves, where when that Wrecking Ball gets rolling, it's really tough to stop them. And when they won that last fight on point A, they didn't really stop going until the end.
I mean, once they disrupt you, it's very hard to regroup. And look at this defense. They're going to try something super sneaky.
Oh, got hacked. Uh-oh. Got hacked. Had to get away. But no, not going to make that. Was kind of sad.
They got Fissure,
well,
but at the same time, if everybody just walks into spawn right now in Seoul, they'll just wait for Fissure and then come back out for a 6 versus 5.
I was going to say, it respawns, man.
Yep, respawns obviously much closer. Now there's no chance of stopping them as they go across this bridge, and there's also no chance of really defending at this corner. Seoul doing a good job of taking up space here.
Yep. Just having a couple of people on the payload as everyone else kind of filters around the corner and holds that point. Hunters coming in from behind, though. They're not going to want to give this up too early. Nice knockup from Amen. Got the shields, but they were eliminated immediately. Oh, he did knock off Fissure. Veltal helping out with the right click on the Lucio. They get the kill on the Fissure. There goes Michelle's. Oh, Veltal just wrecking people.
They got to reset right now. Once Fissure's gone, there's no way for the Seoul Dynasty to really deal with this, and that is a great bonus kill at the end.
You played yourself.
You did play himself. They got greedy, trying to get exit kills there, and now Seoul Dynasty once again going to be coming around with that respawn advantage.
Yeah. Oh well, it's Amen is pretty fun to watch, but
I mean, I'm concerned Legends is playing himself. He's already very low on HP.
Does have that grab though. Amen comes in trying to set up that Graviton Surge. Kyo does get the kill on the Jaehyung on the other side now. EMP comes up big for Michelle. And that's going to be Seoul Dynasty just rolling ahead with all those hacked targets on the Chengdu side. They killed Kyo before he was able to Transcendence too, so pretty good attack by Seoul.
Yeah, very good exit kills also. Late kills means that they are going to probably be able to push this through point A without too much of a defense. They'll be there just in the nick of time. Amen's going to be able to stall them out.
Amen can always get there.
That's true.
That's the rule. He's a Wrecking Ball man. He always gets there. In fact, he's here right now. He's taking a lot of damage. Responds by throwing out that Earthshatter on the other side, but here's the Graviton Surge. Gotta watch out for that self-destruct, and it gets 2. Elsa sneaking it in there in a place where Fissure could not shield it.
And also, Jexay 6% away from the sound barrier. That's what would have saved Seoul in that circumstance. Fortunately, the ultimate not available. Chengdu takes advantage of that window. Gets the minefield down and then follows it up with the D.Va self-destruct to deal an immense amount of explosive damage to the Seoul Dynasty. But not really too much of a concern. I think if you're Seoul, you're going to have a sound barrier now. And you also have Michelle, whose EMP will be up imminently. And that's all you're going to need to push through to the end of this point.
Rally getting close as well. Seoul Dynasty gonna wait out that Zarya shield before shooting at Amin. Amin's back again. Ooh, bounces on the high ground there. And they're gonna go ahead and use the grab actually on him. Munchkin took out Kyo early. Munchkin on the warpath there, destroying Amin as well. Gets 3.
The solo grabs, I think,
4.
say a lot about how much Seoul is annoyed by this wrecking ball because they have decided to use the Graviton Surge multiple times now on Ahmed just to trip him up because he's just so elusive and disruptive that it's just better to get rid of him because otherwise he's going to roll away. He's going to come and disrupt your backline once again. It's just too irritating. Michelle looking for some EMPs. Nope. Was going to get found out right there. Does do a little bit of scouting, and they are going to set up for an EMP as the Chengdu Hunters start to coalesce here on the high ground.
Rally time for Munchkin as Hunters get ready for their attack, but they're just going to play it out slow, I think. Yep, Fleta, well, Fleta, I say play it out slow, but then Amin decides to go in anyway. Of course, and he dies. There goes Jinmu. I think Amin needs to kind of slow things down a little bit.
Fissure solo shattered him. That's what happened there on the low ground. So you could see that Seoul Dynasty, they're just now committing ults to Amin destruction.
Hey, I think that is absolutely what you want to do. I mean, this guy's got more rollouts than Optimus Prime and the Autobots, but eventually you got to be the Decepticon, right? Nice hack onto Hunters. Seoul Dynasty have to deal with that sound barrier on the remaining members of Chengdu, but they're in a good position here. Although Amin drops that minefield, Munchkin in a lot of trouble here trying to get out. Self-destruct comes in, doesn't claim anybody really for Elsa. And Amin just on that high ground. Now the low ground very quickly, as he often does. Nice knockup, wow. Going sky high there.
He's not done yet either.
It's like Cirque du Soleil with this guy.
His mechanics are so smooth when you watch him play this wrecking ball.
It's true. Very fun to watch. Fleta fully charged, and there's that Graviton Surge, throwing it in. Chengdu Hunters in a lot of trouble. Now another minefield. How does he get him so fast?
The second
it's like a 20-second minefield. They're gonna win the fight. Amin just always has a minefield.
It is pretty ridiculous. It is pretty ridiculous. So Amin now heading back to his minefield friends, and that will be Seoul Dynasty left to figure out how they're going to come back. Michelle looking to get another EMP in this engagement. Nothing really on the board or even really close besides a self-destruct on the side of the Hunters. Very few tools to stop this engagement from Fissure. Goodbye.
Just walks right out. Why not? Throwing in that Earth Shatter. Elsa very, very low, nearly demacked. Amin tries to slow people down with another slam, but the sound barrier for Seoul Dynasty is going to give them a bit more aggression. They need to wait out that Transcendence, but now Jaehong walks in with his own. Fissure turns to get the shield up just in time for that self-destruct. And here comes a hack from Michelle. Hacks 5 members of the Hunters. Amin was just out of the way, and he didn't get hacked, but it doesn't matter. The rest of his team getting a little bit wrecked here. Wow, that was a great EMP from Michelle. And this guy's coming into this match with some of the highest EMP efficiency in the entire league, too. So no surprise to see him get a big 5-man hack.
Yeah, and the issue was that he was dying frequently after EMPing, but that has not been a problem in this match. He's been staying alive, which means that they hadn't been EMPing into immediately a 5 versus 6 with Seoul Dynasty shorthanded. That's a big change.
I think his average was like 4.8 people hacked per EMP. That is insane. Ooh, another Earth Shatter comes in for Fissure, but it's going to be the Graviton Surge on the Chengdu side to lock people up a little bit. Dynasty having to contend with that. Late Young does kill Jexay though. Walking in to try to get a little bit more. Amin on the upper side of the hallway here, and it looks like Hunters are going to be able to force Seoul back to the moment.
They get Jaehong at the end of the push. That's Endiana not fast enough to get away, and they don't want to use the Transcendence ultimate without a lot of the members of the team there. So this time, Seoul Dynasty got a couple good pushes left, but that payload still has quite a ways to move for them to win this map.
Sure enough, Michelle looking for another EMP here. Ooh, he may be just looking to push the payload by himself. Ooh, sneaky Michelle. Pushes the payload. Oh, Amin is ready though. Yeah, he just translocate out of there. What it does is it pulls the Hunters back, and favorable ground for Seoul. Jaehong survives the self-destruct with that Transcendence. Now the EMP comes in. Another gigantic hack for Michelle, and Seoul Dynasty wasting no time in jumping all over the Hunters. Wow, Michelle's EMPs have just handed the Hunters on a silver platter to Seoul 2 fights in a row now.
Well, also just the map awareness, drawing Amun back on the Hammond so that they have to play on the cart. It just makes it so much easier for the Seoul Dynasty to set up combos and not really be in a vulnerable position. Late Young, though, it's 10 seconds left, and he's got a Graviton Surge. Fleta will be matching him with a Graviton of his own.
Hunter still with a real chance to win this one. Seoul needs to get somebody on the payload right now. It's going to be Michelle touching it. There's Fissure on top of the payload as well. Got the sound barrier for the defense one. Jaehong takes on Amun, that's huge. Goodbye Hammond, and now Fleta walking in, looking for a chance to Graviton Surge here. Waiting for it, doesn't want to get it eaten, he won't. Waits for that defense matrix to be down, and Fleta with another kill on the Yveltal. Seoul Dynasty rolling forward, they got the picks. They're getting the kills. Sound barrier versus the Graviton Surge on Chengdu, and yet another minefield for Amun as it comes back, but I don't think that even Amun's minefields is going to be enough, although Kaio does kill Munchkin. Can anyone stop there? They're just going to roll in, and Seoul Dynasty complete the clean sweep. That's a 4-0 for them over the Chengdu Hunters.
Still a kind of scary moment for them in that last map. Chengdu forced them into overtime.
Yeah, it was a victory lap, and Seoul Dynasty, it's one of those things where we saw them play so well in their first match against the Gladiators. Things didn't look quite as great against Dallas, and now they come in and they just, I would say, absolutely dominate the Hunters. And the Hunters' unique, unorthodox style, I think, kind of came back to bite them in that they play it well, but it seems like we need to see a bit more from them now, don't we?
I think, you know, when we talk about the metagame, Noah, the metagame is the metagame for a reason. It is the most consistent way to play on any given patch that you have.
Very true.
And if you're the Chengdu Hunters, you'll be able to take maps, maybe even matches here and there, like we saw them win against the Charge. But at the end of the day, teams that are able to play 3-3 consistently well are going to be the ones that are coming out on top.
What a fun series either way, though. I mean, the Hunters are always a team to watch, and even though they got 0-4, I still had a good time. But let's send it over to Danny, who's got Jaehong down on the arena floor for an interview.
Thank you, Monty and Doa. Roar on, Seoul Dynasty fans. I have Ryu Jaehong here with me for a quick interview. Make some noise, everybody. Congratulations on the win. Now, last week, you guys suffered a tough loss against Dallas Fuel, but you guys came out really strong tonight against Chengdu Hunters. How are you going to keep this momentum going? 자, 저번 주에 아쉽게도 달라스와의 경기에서 아쉽게도 지게 됐지만 오늘 굉장히 좋은 모습 서울 다이너스가 많이 보여준 것 같아요. 이 기세를 어떻게 해서 서울팀은 계속 유지하실 생각이십니까?
이 기세를 저희는 지금도 항상 노력을 많이 하고 있고요. 노력을 더해서 이 기세를 멈추지 않게 할 생각입니다.
We've always been trying our best and giving our best for all the games. So what we're going to do is just keep doing our best and practice hard so that we will keep this momentum and just not make it stop. Alrighty, next question. So you guys didn't make it into any stage playoffs last season, unfortunately, but things are actually looking very, very good for you guys for Seoul Dynasty this season. How are you guys? How important is it for Seoul Dynasty to make it into the stage 1 playoffs? 자, 저번 시즌에 아쉽게도 스테이지 플레이오프에 서울팀이 못 가게 됐는데 이번 시즌에서는 좀 굉장히 서울팀이 굉장히 세 보이고 좋은 것 같아요. 이번 스테이지 1 플레이오프 가는 게 서울팀에게는 얼마나 중요한가요?
정말 저번 시즌 스테이지 플레이오프를 한 번도 못 갔기 때문에 이번 시즌에 정말 가는 거에 대해서는 저희한테 정말 중요한 일이고요. 그 목표를 이루기 위해서 저희 정말 똑같이 말하지만 노력을 정말 열심히 하고 있습니다. 가도록 열심히 잘 하겠습니다. 감사합니다.
So it is true that we didn't make it into the stage playoffs last season. So we are actually making it into stage 1 playoffs this season is going to be very, very important. We will try our best to make it into the stage 1 playoffs. All right, give it up for Ryu Jaehong, everybody. That's all I have. Back to you guys.
Thank you, Danny. Always good to hear from you, Jaehong. For a long, long time, great support player. But what a day of Overwatch we had here today at the Overwatch League, Monty. Including great dancing, apparently. There you go.
That's right. That was my favorite part at the very least.
That's right. Make sure you guys stick around. It's going to be Watch Point coming up on twitch.tv/Overwatch League. Right after that, also big thanks to our Disney XD audience. Glad you could join us. Hope you join us again very soon. For a great day of Overwatch. That was. Thanks for watching. Check out Watch Point now.
The The Overwatch League is powered by Intel. Game, record, stream without compromise on Intel Core i7. And by Omen by HP, the official PC and display of the Overwatch League.